Well, folks, here it is. The first of what I imagine could be many or could be few of terrible news surrounding earnings. This is a disastrous update on guidance for Walmart, whose earnings are going to be on the 16th of next month. So this is about 3 weeks out from that, and they dropped a bombshell on the market. Holy moly, they are slicing their profit guidance and just huge drops on all their numbers across the board. It's crazy. So they're talking this is for the next whole year too. They're talking about how bad 2023 is going to be. So they said it now anticipates adjusted earnings per share for the second quarter and full year to decline around 8 to 9%, 11 to 13% over the whole year. And previously they expected that to be flat. They expected a 1% drop for the full year. This is from 1% to 11% /13%. That is insane. That's a 1100% increase on that number. No, it's crazy. That's huge. That's insane. They're just it's inflation, and where's that hurt? It hurts the poor people first. Poor people shop at Walmart. When they start shopping at Walmart, they are paying more for food, so that means they can't buy new TVs, they can't buy all the discretionary stuff, and they don't make a lot of money off of groceries. Most of their money's coming off the big ticket items, so the profits are slim. They still have a nice rise in sales, rise about 6% in the second quarter. That's what they're expecting. So that's good. They're still getting growth in sales, but they're mainly talking about how low-income customers are starting to shop there more, but they're starting to buy fewer discretionary items, technology kind of things, where they really make their money. So that is hurting them on top of the cost of food, on top of inflation. This is just, I mean, it's a bombshell on the on the entire thesis that I've been seeing in all these videos are the consumer strong, consumer strong. Consumers are still buying tech, they're still upgrading their phones every year. Um, and this kind of just spits in the face of that. I mean, Walmart is the biggest sign of the strength of the consumer on like the base level, on the absolute like necessities level, and they are just getting hammered. They're not doing good, and things have to be. It's rare when you get a company coming out right before earnings, and I mean right before earnings, being like 3 weeks before earnings, and being like, yeah, guys, this is gonna be bad. Um, it's terrible, and the reaction around the market is obvious. We had so much momentum going in the close, and it has just been stopped dead in its tracks. SPY is down 0.25%, Nasdaq's down a third. Amazon, which lucky me, right? I just so happened to open a short position on Amazon today. Um, they're down 4% after hours, which is crazy. I was like sitting here looking at the P&L, and all of a sudden Amazon just starts spiking. It's up like 40 bucks, 80 bucks on the short. I only got 25 shares short. Of course, now I wish I got more. No one knew this news was coming out. So I was just like, what the hell's happening? Look it up. Walmart. Walmart is down 9% after hours. That's crazy. They're down to their lows after their last earnings report. So it's just an absolute disaster for Walmart. This is a disaster for the market in general, because this rally has been so much based on hey, inflation is peaking, hey, it's not hurting the consumer so bad, hey, gas is going down, maybe people are starting to get used to the inflation, or it's not gonna be as big of a drag on them as we think. But when you have Walmart coming out and saying, yeah, it's bad, like we're getting hammered over here, then that is bad. Target down 5%. I mean, just all the consumer discretion. I mean, not Coke, but Kohl's, right? Yeah, Kohl's. Oh my God, I can't. KSS. Kohl's down 3%. We got Macy's probably down about 3% too. So this is very bad. These are the type of things you do not want to hear when you are trying to argue that we are not headed into a recession, because it's all about the consumer. It's all about how strong is the consumer. And if Walmart's saying the consumer's not that strong, but everywhere else is saying, yeah, the consumer's fine, then it's like, well, which is it? Is it the like sentiment, basically where they poll consumers and ask them how well they're doing, or is it the actual like hard numbers, which Walmart just came out and said, yeah, the numbers are terrible. They're bad. We are going to be not growing over the next couple of years, but we're going to be receding in profits and margins, and it's crazy. So very bad news for Walmart, and very bad news for the market in general. Just a nightmare. So very interesting. I said at the end of my last video, I was like, nothing's happening today, and the market's not going to pick a direction. Why am I even trading? There's no big earnings after hours. There were still some, but nothing big. But then Walmart just comes out, and they're like, hey guys, you thought this was going to be a slow day? Let's drop a freaking bombshell on you. And a bombshell this was. So why is Amazon down with it? Well, you ask yourself, what is Amazon completely based off of? The consumer. Clearly, they still had a bunch of good news about Prime Day. People came out for Prime Day in droves and bought all sorts of shit. But sheesh, people are going to be looking at Amazon next to be like, oh god, Amazon, please tell us the consumer isn't doing as bad as we think they are, because if Amazon comes out and confirms what Walmart basically just told us, then you have brick and mortar in shop sales going down, you got online sales, e-commerce going down. It's just a flurry of shit, and Amazon down 4% after hours is pretty crazy. It is recovering a little bit. I wouldn't be shocked if it goes to fill some of that gap tomorrow. I'm still going to hold. I'm going to hold this for earnings. I think they're going to have miserably bad earnings. Because so far the good earnings we've seen have been companies like Tesla had solid earnings, but Tesla, who do they cater to? They're not catering to the people shopping at Walmart trying to save 50 cents on a pound of beef. They cater to the rich folks. So we know this is how recessions work. It always affects the poor, and then it trickles up until the middle class is affected, and then the rich never get affected. They don't give a shit. But this is how it works. It always starts at the bottom, and then it trickles, it grows up. And this is a sign of that when Walmart comes out and says that. And I love how I just made my little, are we heading into a recession video talking about, hey, maybe the consumer's not doing that bad. But, wow. Not only is the consumer doing bad, it is destroying the profits of these companies, destroying their margins, just obliterating them. And Walmart is just in a pit of despair right now. You hate to see it. Almost down 10% after hours, just crazy. So now it's a question. I mean, there's only like 3 weeks left in the quarter, but now I'm curious to see what happens in their earnings. Like, is this the sell-off? Are their earnings just going to go flat now? Is this priced in? I just don't know. I mean, the FOMC meeting coming up is so huge on Wednesday at 11 o'clock on Wednesday. Mark your goddamn calendars. That is going to be the moment where the shit hits the fan or we soar into the stratosphere. Personally, I think the market doesn't want 100 basis points, but in the end, the market needs 100 basis points, because that's the irony of inflation. People are talking about, oh, well, inflation's not going to hit the consumer that bad, or hey, it hasn't hit the consumer that bad, but that's the entire point, is that the consumer is still going out and buying shit like crazy, and that they're still traveling, everyone's going on trips, everyone's going everywhere, everyone's spending all their money, and you think, hey, that's good for the economy, right? And it's like, yeah, that's great for the economy, but that's the problem, is that the economy got too hot, so that's what happens when the economy gets too hot. Inflation goes up, and inflation goes up when people continue to spend their money like crazy. And the Fed knows this, and they see that, and they are watching. They see how the consumer still appears to be strong, and they're sitting there scratching their head because they have to force the consumer to weaken to stop inflation. Oil can help them in inflation a lot, which we've seen today. Ironically, oil went up a little bit. We went up about 2%. Let me see. Is oil back over? I don't think it's back over $100 a barrel. No, it's still at $96 a barrel. But anyways, oil is one thing, but their gas bill, electricity bill, their food, which is helped by oil going down, because that's the cost of shipping is a lot of that. But then their rent, that has nothing really to do with oil. Like, these are all separate things. It is broad-based. This is what they say. This is what Powell's been saying. Broad-based inflation. That means it checks all the boxes. It goes down everything. It's not just gas that's up, even though gas is a big part of it, but it's just all the things. So I think the market's expecting 75. I personally hope Powell comes out and he's like, all right, we see that the consumer doesn't give a shit about inflation. They don't really care. They're kind of just like, hey, it's still time to go travel because I still got money. They see that, and that is worrisome to them because inflation's not going to come down if the consumer is just still so strong and all these companies still just keep raking in money. Like, why would it? If these companies can keep raising their prices because the consumers aren't slowing their spending, then they will keep doing that. Like, why wouldn't they? And that's ultimately the issue with inflation is that it's one of those things where it's like you don't want to kill the economy, but in order to stop inflation, you kind of have to because that's just the nature of it. It's so much mental. It's such a psyche kind of thing, and that's where we are. I know I've talked about this 80 million times, but when Walmart drops their drops a guidance cut right in the middle, at the beginning of a week, 3 weeks before their actual earnings, and not only is it just a cut, but it is like, wow, we were way off. And remember, Target did this they did this a couple months ago. They had terrible earnings, and then 3 weeks later, they came out and they were like, hey, you remember that guidance that we gave last earnings 3 weeks ago? Actually, that's way off. We're cutting all those numbers by a lot, and this is basically Walmart doing the same thing, but not as recent from their earnings. So if Target comes out and does something, let's see what Target's earnings are. Of course, Target earnings. When's that going to be? Hello. August 17th, so right after Walmart. So God forbid if they come out and say the same thing at some point this week or before their earnings. Oh, if they cut their guidance twice, that'd be bad. So yeah, this is a wild time we're in, and these stores have just been rallying with the market. I mean, look at Target. It's gone up from 140 almost up to 160. Costco, same thing, which I'm sure Costco's down too a little bit. Yep, same thing. Costco's just been rallying. Right off 400, it's all the way up to 540. We're getting these big old rallies all across the board, and now Walmart comes around to just destroy it. And I know you would think, what the hell? It's just Walmart. Like, why is that such a big deal? But it just these are the companies people look to see how the consumer is doing. Same with Amazon. Not just the consumer, but the lower tax bracket, the majority of people in America, where you think these poor people, they haven't spent a lot of money, but there's way more poor people than there are rich people. So combine all their money together, and that makes a lot more money than what the rich folk are spending. So that's why earnings like Tesla have really no effect on anything, because they're just, I mean, it has an effect on Tesla, but they're just catering to a whole different tax bracket. So this is the layers of things, and that's why Amazon's so important, because everyone uses Amazon. So yeah, this is just crazy, huge news. I just don't know. It's such a weird time where, and there's so many. Everyone was like, "Hey, recession priced in," but hey, the consumer's strong. But then Walmart comes out and just ruins all the fun. So shitty news. You hate to see it, but tomorrow it's gonna be a big day. Big day tomorrow. We got big ol' earnings coming up tomorrow. I'll give you a little refresher. Yeah, today we really had nothing. I mean, Whirlpool had earnings. No one does their earnings. Important people do earnings on Tuesday. So tomorrow we got Alphabet. Ad spending. How good is ad spending doing? Apparently not that good if you ask Snapchat. So that's a very interesting one to watch. Microsoft. I mean, it's Microsoft. I'm sure they're gonna do fine. This is Microsoft we're talking about. You know, they always do great. Analysts believe they're gonna have 230 per share, which is a 6% year-over-year increase, nice, and 52.5 million in revenue, which is a 13.5% year-over-year increase, very nice. You just can't stop Microsoft, no one can. Otherwise, what do we got? I think we had Visa, that's a huge one, and I think that's it. And then, oh, also McDonald's tomorrow, interesting. Then the next day, what do we got? We got Qualcomm. Yep, Qualcomm, and then Meta after hours also. Yep, Meta. So this could be just it's so crazy, dude. I just like I'm floored. It's like it's so much shit going on. just gonna watch and see, man. I'm thinking I might get into Meta, but I'm worried if Google has terrible earnings on Tuesday, that's gonna tank Meta, and then Meta could come out and do what they did last quarter, which is basically say, hey, we thought things were gonna be a lot worse than they were, and then they just rally. So I might play both sides, do out of the money leap calls, out of the money leap puts on both sides, and try to see what happens there. Open my game up. But anyways, guys, crazy video, crazy news. And just keep your heads down out there, folks. See you later.